Hey guys, hope you guys can see me okay, and hope you guys had a great day in your garden. I'm in our lower garden right now. Actually, it's our mid garden. We have different levels to our garden, so this is our mid garden. We take these off and put this on so we can see what's going on. So I got home from work a couple hours ago and did a few things out in the garden, and I remember I had this live show here. So anyway, hope you can all see me out there. Let me know if this feed is coming. I'll just hang on here for a bit. And there we go. Food forest permaculture. Hello. Hello, food forest permaculture. Okay, so it looks like this is working. Hope you can see me okay. How's the clarity on this? Wendy was saying the clarity wasn't very good yesterday, but you know what? I think there's a bit of dust on the webcam. So what I did, I cleaned it off, and hopefully it's a little clearer today. Hey, it's on. Okay, hey, palm tree dude, how's it going there, buddy? So I did a live broadcast yesterday. It was kind of a test broadcast, and it lasted a little bit longer than anticipated. So maybe this one will be a little bit shorter. I'm thinking maybe a half hour, but I end up talking a lot, so it could end up 45 minutes. I think I'm going to do these at least once a month. Looks fantastic. Right on. More clear right now. Oh, perfect. Perfect. You know what it was too? I think the computer yesterday was a lot farther from the router, and right now I'm on our lower lanai, and the router is just probably about 8 feet from the computer, as before it was about 40 feet from the computer, or maybe 50 feet from the computer, something like that. So I'm glad it's working. Hope all you guys are doing well and staying safe out there. Thumbs up and ring that bell. Right on. So anyway, greetings from our Palmy Island here in the North Pacific. And when I say the North Pacific, that's the Pacific Northwest. We are located off the southwest coast of British Columbia, the most southwest coast of the province, out into the Pacific Ocean. You will see our Southern Gulf Islands. It is currently 12.6 degrees Celsius here, so not super warm. It's about, I guess, 56 degrees Fahrenheit, maybe 57, something like that. It's okay. It was a good day for working. And there is more rain in the forecast. When we do need the rain, it's been very dry. I've heard of somebody drive south of here. About an hour ago, I got a phone call, and I looked at the call display on the phone. Hi, Dylan. How you doing? Are you in a temperate climate? We're in a Mediterranean-like climate here. The Southern Gulf Islands are very Mediterranean-like. So warm, dry summers and wet winters. About an hour ago, I got a phone call, and the phone rang, and I see the guy's name come up on the call display, and I knew right away that guy doesn't like palm trees very much. And I knew what the call was about because this guy moved into a friend's place, a friend that used to live there, that planted some palm trees that I sold him 25 years ago. And he says, Joe, I got this problem. I got these 3 palm trees growing in front, and they're big palms. They got 15 feet of trunk on them. He says, there's too many. And I says, you can never have too many. And he wants one of them moved, and I'm not about to move another big palm. I've moved a lot of big palms over the years. So I sent him off to one of my friends. I says, contact my friend who's got a mini excavator and all that stuff, and he would be glad to take it for free. So there's 3 palms, one male, 2 females, and they're kind of staggered. They look really beautiful, bare trunk, and just thriving. And this guy's 86 years old, and he's not into palms. So rather than cut the third palm down, it's going to go up. It's probably going to go to my friend's place. He'll scoop it right away. Yes, we are in a temperate climate, and we do grow a lot of stuff here on Salt Spring Island. So today I want to talk a little bit about eucalyptus trees, and how many of you folks out there are growing eucalyptus trees? Any of you out there grow eucalyptus? I know they'll definitely grow in Portland for sure. And even in the south, there's eucalyptus trees. Let's just see, what do we have? A good palm saving. Okay, I made fun of your other lies, saying climate obviously too cold for computers. Obviously, computers are not hardy. Don't I don't take anything seriously. I take everything on this internet with a grain of salt, and I don't get offended by things, so don't worry about that. And yes, saying I'm in a temperate climate in Ireland. Yes, you could grow citrus, Dylan, for sure. Ireland is balmy and palmy. It never really gets that cold in Ireland. Like, I'm talking cold. Cold's a matter of perspective. So you don't get a lot of sub-zero temperatures in Ireland, especially along the coast. If you go into Cork, There's tons of palm trees, even in Northern Ireland and Belfast. There's huge camarops and Trachycarpus palms, and you can grow date palms there too. Phoenix canariensis. I've seen pictures of them. Huge cordylines. Ryan, you go Niphophila and subcrenulata. Perfect. You should try Debusavilli, Parvula, Perniana, Yomanii, and there's a few others you should try. And what makes a eucalyptus tree hardy, folks, is provenance, where the seed is collected. So anything at sea level in Australia is absolutely useless here. You know, it might last a little bit, and then you get a cold blast, and they're done. And that's uh, and that's the mistake people make when they go to the nursery. They go in and pick out the nicest eucalyptus, the first one they see. Oh, I like that one with the round leaves, and it ends up getting killed after a winter or two, and then they're just totally put off. So do your homework before shopping for eucalyptus trees, and make sure you get a nice hardy one from a higher elevation. The background looks amazing. Thanks a lot. That's a Trachycarpus latisectus. We have a couple Trachycarpus latisectus, and they seem to do okay here. They're not a super hardy palm tree. Put them in a sheltered spot if you're going to plant them. Definitely a zone 9 long term. And like Martianus, I've lost Martianus in the past. We have another Martianus, and it's in the front garden right there, but it's in a planter, and it comes in when it gets cold. And this one here is looking pretty good. It's got some nice fan leaves on it. Buddy of mine, just southeast of Vancouver, has a probably near 20-foot tall one in his garden. You should see it's amazing. How can I protect citrus from frost? Dylan, easy. There's a guy on our coast here, and I call him the citrus man, Bob Duncan. He lives near Victoria. And you Google, or actually go to YouTube and enter growing citrus on Vancouver Island, and you can see what he does. He goes, Myers lemons, like they're coming out of your freaking yin yang, and he harvests fruit on these things, and they're full size fruit. And what he does, he has them kind of espaliate along a wall. And I think what he does, he uses Christmas lights on them. I don't know if they're the old school Christmas lights or just the mini lights. And then what you can do is you can put 6 mil plastic over that, drape it over, turn the Christmas lights on in the coldest nights, and you'll be able to grow citrus where you are. Yes, he's in Wayne Road. Yep, that's right. Not far from me. Yeah, I've met Bob Duncan probably 20-something years ago when I used to work at a big nursery here. It was in the 90s anyway. And I've watched his videos, and he's pretty famous when it comes to citrus. Who else do we got on here? Oh, Ryan Bartel and Stellulata. Yeah, I tell you what, Black Sally is Stellulata eucalyptus. I planted one behind the elementary school here, not far from us, when my oldest son was in kindergarten or grade 1, and he's going to be 30 soon, and that Stellulata is still there. They cut down the Dollarium pleana because it got too big, the school maintenance guys, but the Stellulata's got a big trunk on it. I've seen some people growing lemons in Columbia, South Carolina, as far north as I've seen the East Coast people do grow hardy citrus. Northern Virginia, yeah, for sure. And why not experiment with them? There are some nice citrus trees here on Salt Spring Island too. You can see my videos on the citrus trees here, and they don't get any winter protection whatsoever. I was at our friend's place, the Plant Farm Nursery, in January, and I shot a video of his big citrus tree. It's got to be over 10 feet tall. Nice big trunk on it, and it had oranges on it in January when we were there. And I scooped a bunch of oranges off the ground, and I did manage to get some seeds from them, and I am growing some right now. And so, definitely worth the try. And there's some really nice hardy citrus out there, Thomasville Citrus Quat. And Poinsettias trifoliate is one they use a lot for grafting stock. Flying Dragon's pretty cool. It's got kind of the twisted up, gnarly branches like Harry Lauder's walking stick, Corylus contorta. Palm tree dude, what area are you in Virginia? Wow, yeah. Chesterfield. I bet you there's lots of palms there, isn't there? There's a cold hardy Tennessee palms, Zach. There's a cold hardy citrus cross, like lemons crossed with hardy Japanese citrus. Yeah, cool. I bet you they'd like your heat down there too. You guys got a lot of heat in the deep south, so man, you guys should be pushing the envelope. You know what I mean? If it doesn't belong there, then try it. And if people scoff at it, that's when you try it even more. And that's the way I am. You want a garden that gives you the wow factor. Anybody can grow Mugo pines and Alberta spruce and junipers. I don't like that stuff. If it's hardy to zone 2, I don't want to grow it in our garden here. I like palmy stuff. More palms, the merrier, right? Who else is on here? Avocado. Actually, there's an avocado tree growing in a garden here, but it doesn't produce fruit, and it's a hardier species of avocado, and it's been in the ground for probably close to 20 years. I should have videos on of it on this channel or possibly on my other YouTube channel. And it is more of an ornamental avocado, but it is evergreen, and it's growing with a lot of southern live oaks in a garden here at about 700 feet above sea level. And in that same garden, there is a Schefflera taiwaniana growing. So, and I've managed to get some cuttings growing from it too, which makes me very happy. So, what are you all growing out there, folks? I guess a lot of you guys are growing Trachycarpus palms. Anything unusual you guys are growing? Anybody growing Trithronyx? That's a palm I want to grow here, Trithronyx campestris. And I think it's a Canthocoma. Very hardy, native to, I believe, Argentina, and really stiff fronds on it. On one of my palm groups, I noticed a friend of mine in Sweden, and he visited me. Was it last summer or the summer before? He posted a picture of a Trithronyx he just picked up. He's going to try in his garden in southern Sweden. So, yeah, there's a lot of different things you can be growing. Now, if I had more extension on this, let's just see if I can move this here, and I'm going to move this around. If you can see some of the eucalyptus trees behind me here, you see there's some 100-foot eucalyptus trees there. Those ones I grew from seed in 1992. So they're getting up there. They're pretty good sized trunk on them. Those are Dollarium pliana, and they are fully hardy on our island. And we've actually had quite a few cut down just because we were thinning out the grove of them. And the problem with eucalyptus, don't plant your palms under them. They suck up a lot of nutrients and suck the life out of everything that grows beneath them. So give them some room. Plant them as far away from your house as possible. Don't plant them up against the house. I had to chop a big one down last week, and you can see the video on Wendy's YouTube channel, Gulf Island Rock. It was too close to the house, so I had to string it up with a rope on another eucalyptus branch, and I cut it, the chainsaw, and we lowered it down beside the house without crushing anything. I tried Palm Tree Dude. I tried to only grow the Virginia Spanish moss ecotype. Yeah, you know what? There's a guy, Dave Alvarez in Seattle. He grows Spanish moss. So we know it does work up here in the North Pacific. We have a moss, it's actually slash lichen that grows here, and it grows quite long in the trees, and it hangs in all the branches, and it looks like Spanish moss, but it's not. We'll call it a false Spanish moss. So anyway, how's everybody's weather out there doing right now? Like I said, it's a little cool here right now. It's 12.6 degrees Celsius. So that is, like I say, about 56, 57 degrees Fahrenheit. And the current time is 5:42 p.m. Pacific time here. We're on the Pacific coast. So we have a huge forest of it. Lucky you. I love it. I'd like to try some of that stuff. Hey, maybe I could trade you for something. I could trade you some seedlings or something. If you want to ship me a little package of Spanish moss, I could ship you some of my palm seedlings. Got some waggy seedlings I could send you. 72, there we go. That's what we're talking about. 72 in the volunteer state. Zach's place. Cool in southern Ontario. Same temp here today. Ryan, 61. It was humid and warm earlier, and then Palm Tree Dude. And thunderstorms. It's in the 60s. That's okay. 60s is good. These palms like those temperatures, especially Trachycarpus. It's the sable minors that want that heat. And Sereno repens and Rapidophyllum hystrix, and that's why they grow so slow this far north, right? You know, it's the Trachycarpus palms. This is Trachycarpus country here on the North Pacific coast of Canada. It's there's a lot of them all over the place. They're a common landscape plant. So same here. Lots of rains here all week. Yeah, it's been dry here. Very dry spring. We had less than an inch of rain. 21.4 millimeters for March. So 25 millimeters equals an inch. February, extremely dry here. April has been extremely dry. But the day before yesterday, we picked up 23 millimeters of precipitation. It was raining pretty good. 54 here today. That's okay. 54 we can tolerate. Palm Tree Dude's neighbor refuses to believe that his needle palm. No, needle palm. To believe his needle palm is a palm. Come on, Camerops humilis is a palm. And it kind of grows like a needle palm. It's got all those offsets. You know what? My two favorite palms are probably the shrubby ones, is Sable Minor and Rapidophyllum hystrix. I just love needle palms, and I love Sable Minor. And I think maybe my favorite peanut species would be Jubea chilensis, and I do like Phoenix canariensis. Bismarckia is nice for fan palm too. If I could grow Bismarckia, I would, but hey, only in my dreams, right? You know, you got to live in Florida. I think there was somebody in South Carolina that was growing a busy too. I don't know if it's still there. There used to be a journal that was put out back in the 1980s called Palm Quarterly by a lady by name of Tamar Myers, and she lived in Ohio, I think, when she put that out, and then later on moved to South Carolina, and she had an amazing garden, and she used to post pictures of it on this old forum um, long before Facebook. It was the Hardy Palm and Subtropical Discussion Board, and I'm pretty sure she had a busy, and she also had a jubea, and her jubea actually looked pretty good for a humid climate. It was pretty impressive. Because generally, jubea don't like the high humidity, but yet there's a big one growing in Dallas, Texas. Because I know Tony's often posted pictures of it on our on the group on the Facebook group, and I have seen pictures of it posted years before on the other Hardy Palm forum. Any mango trees with protection? No mango. No, no, no. That will not work here. I have a tough time growing them inside. I've grown one before and it kind of petered out. They're very tropical plants, so no, they won't work here. Papaya, no, but we can grow pomegranate. We can grow hardy guava, Feijoa salawiana. We grow loquat grows here. Fig trees, olives, and so there's a lot of neat exotic fruits we can grow here. They're not tropical fruits. Hilton Head, South Carolina is a palm hotspot. There are plenty of Washingtonia. Yes, there are. I saw normal dates, mature queen. Yeah, perfect climate down there. I've often watched videos of South Carolina, and even when you drive through Charleston, it's just like, whoa, palm heaven. Yeah, it'd be a nice place to see. I'd love to see that. I've often wondered, when you drive way north and you go up to Massachusetts, there's these islands out there called Nantucket and Martha's Vineyard. I wonder if palm trees would grow out there. I'm thinking of northern spots where is it possible for palms to actually make it. There's also an island off of Nova Scotia called Sable Island, and it has got a couple of hundred, maybe a couple hundred miles or something southeast of the coast of Halifax, and it's about a zone 8A out there, but it's a cool zone 8A. And I think if you could keep a Trachycarpus fortunei out of the wind, because I think they get a lot of wind, it might survive in Nova Scotia out on Sable Island. Saw palmettos, yeah, they'll work here too, but they're not available. Too cold in New England. Yeah, I think there's probably, Ryan, I think there are people that probably grow them in New England, but they're the zone pushers, right? They're going to have to protect them in the wintertime. A guy was growing Scott's gardening. A guy was growing trackies in Rhode Island for a few years. Not sure. Yeah, I think I've seen pictures of them in Rhode Island, and I've seen pictures of them in Delaware and also in Maryland. There was a big Trachycarpus growing in Maryland up against a building, and I remember seeing pictures of it 15 years ago. And it had a big trunk on it. It was pretty impressive. So I'm sure in sheltered microclimates they could probably get away with it. And why not? Why not try it? You know what I mean? That's what we used to do. We used to experiment with stuff back in the day when people weren't, and other gardeners would scoff at it. Oh, that's not going to work. Well, how do you know until you try, right? So then everybody's got microclimates within your garden too. So utilize those microclimates. Ocean City, Maryland. That's probably, so. Do you think it's still there, Scott? Do you think that Tracky's still there in Ocean City? I wonder. That's where I think it might have been too. Went to Portland, Maine a few months. Oh, didn't see anything. Yeah, I'm thinking in Portland, Maine, there's probably like a lot of mugo pines and blue spruce, and that's a tree that does really crappy on Salt Spring Island. Is those Colorado blue spruce? They don't look very good. I think what they like is a drier climate, like in the winter, and colder. They like colder temperatures to look their best. Yep, that's the one. So it is still there. Interesting. In Niagara region, people used to post pic of this Araucaria araucana, a monkey puzzle tree that grew there for quite a few years, but I think it finally petered out. So any of you guys growing monkey puzzles down there in the south? Another plant I don't think likes the extreme humidity and heat combination. Here they're a dime a dozen monkey puzzles. I mean, you go to the nursery down the road, and they got tons of them for sale. Lots of monkey trees. Araucaria araucana and Araucaria angustifolia grow very well here on Salt Spring Island. At a car wash, Scott saw it when I went through in March. Cool. That's awesome. So it is still there. Maybe there's some videos of it out there. I see pictures of some huge Trachycarpus fortunei. I know ancient ones in Memphis. Yeah, there are some big palms. Yeah, Tennessee palms. Yeah, in Memphis. And if you go to YouTube, you can find, and just YouTube palm trees in Tennessee, stuff is going to come up for sure. I mean, that's a great thing about the internet. you can see, you can watch anything on YouTube. You can Google images and pictures of palm trees will come up. What did we do before Google and YouTube, right? You know what I mean? It was all books. I got a library full of palm books, and they're great palm books. I look at them once in a while, but I like looking at, on the internet. It's just easy. Click of a mouse and up comes what you want, information, whatever, right? Portland. Oh, Alec, which Portland? Portland, Oregon. Yeah, Portland, Oregon's a good climate. Hot summers and lots of palms there. If you go a little bit south of there, there is some Washingtonia robusta planted. I believe it was in Medford, and they were actually getting quite big. I'd like to know if they are still there. The Washingtonias growing at a parking lot in Medford. And if you go to the southwest corner of Oregon, you get to a place called Gold Beach, and south to Brookings. That is the banana belt of Oregon, and that's where you start to see big date palms. And I was blown away. I knew they grew there, and I'd seen pictures of them, but to see them in real life, when I drove down there, I was just like in awe. There was I was down there taking photographs, and I have a lot of photographs of plants, exotic plants growing in Brookings, Oregon. So Brookings, Oregon's a Zone 9B, and I stopped alongside the road there because there was a 40-foot, 50-foot date palm growing in front of this person's garden. So I'm taking pictures of it, and this old lady comes walking out, and she says, "Can I help you?" And I says, "Yeah, I'm admiring your palm tree." And she says to me, "Oh, you like that?" She says, "I planted that in 1954." And she says, "There's one just as big or bigger down the road." So yeah, I went to the other place and I took pictures of the other one she planted in '54. So I'm sure that gal is long gone now, because that was around 2004 when I was down there photographing the palms. Brookings has huge, yeah, they do. Absolutely. Ryan, huge Yucca gigantea. And we grow Yucca gigantea in our garden here too. I planted it in June 2007, and it's doing really, really well. Um, yeah, Alec, Brookings is Zone 9B, and Yucca gigantea is a Zone 9A plant. Long term, gets really cold, it's going to need some help. Been to Western Mexico, has tons of native sables there too, I bet. Yeah. Yeah, you can't go wrong with Mexico. Any of those places, and then, we grow a high elevation palm from Mexico, and I think Central America. It's Camadoria radicalis, another palm you guys should be trying. If you live in a cooler winter area, try Camadoria radicalis. You look at this palm, it's a small pinnate species, and I think there's two varieties. There's a taller growing one, and then there's the small one. Ours is only about maybe this big, and it flowers. I planted it in 1997. It came up from Jungle Music, Phil Bergman's place in Westminster, California, near, I think, Chula Vista, and planted it in 1997, and didn't have much hope for it, but I read the reports on it back in the day. And they said, one guy claims this is a hardy palm that should be tried in the Pacific Northwest. So it was me and a couple of other guys were the first guys to try them here, and it's still going strong. I got it growing under the tree fern, and it looks absolutely awesome. Never been damaged. And the coldest temperature I've recorded here is around 18 degrees Fahrenheit, so it didn't bother it. Froze the cordy lines down, but didn't freeze the Camadoria radicalis. Yeah, Jungle Music is awesome. Yeah, Phil Bergman. I also got a jubea from him, and I did a stupid thing with that jubea. I planted it years ago when I moved here, and it was actually getting really nice. And then I decided to move it, and I moved it in late October, maybe beginning of November. And it was in November we got this cold blast, and it petered out. It didn't like it, man. It was stressed out from the move. I damaged some of the roots, so I planted a new jubea that I grew from seed. The seed came from Locarno, Switzerland, and it's been in the garden for, I think, 5-6 years, maybe 7 years, and it's doing really, really well. And I'm not moving it. It's staying right where it is, and it seems to be growing at a pretty good speed. Alec, Dicksonia antarctica. We have many in our garden. We have about 11 Dicksonia antarctica tree ferns, Tasmanian tree ferns, man fern, and the biggest one we have is actually just right beside me here in an alcove. I planted it 26 years ago. It's got 6 feet of trunk on it, and it's sending out croziers right now. It's got the big fiddle heads. Just, you can see the bumps coming out right now. And same with the little guys too. The little guys we have are pushing out fronds as well. Can tree ferns survive outdoors, Alex? Southern zone? No. On the coast. I tried them in zone 8A up this way, and they froze. They didn't like it. So definitely a long-term zone 9 plant this far north. They are definitely zone 9. I've seen big ones freeze southeast of Vancouver. in zone 8A/8B in bad winter, some with 8 feet of trunk, frozen dead. In Vancouver, there are some beautiful tree ferns growing against some buildings, and they were planted, I think, in the 1990s, probably maybe 25 years ago, and they're really big now, and they never lose their fronds. They are evergreen. Indoors, I don't think I would grow tree ferns indoors. Maybe you could bring them in for the winter and then put them back outside for the spring and summertime. It's like growing Livistona chinensis. I know some of you guys are probably growing Chinese fountain palms. They also grow here on Salt Spring Island, but they have to be in an ideal microclimate. If you put them out in the open, they're going to get hammered in the winter and they're going to look like crap. It might not kill them, but they're slow to recover. They're a slow growing palm this far north. So put them under an overhang or an alcove close to a building, and they're fine. I planted some in town years ago, and they were there for many years, two of them in front of a gallery in town. And then they removed them because they did some work on the sidewalk in the planter where I had them. The planter was close to the building. There was an overhang, but it was open. It was near the ocean. Never had any damage on them, and I was pretty upset when they moved them because they ended up dying. So, what's the growth rate of Dicksonia antarctica? 1 inch per year where I am. 1 inch of trunk. So 1 inch of trunk is 1 year of growth, and this far north they sell for about $20 a trunk inch. So the one I have there is probably about close to 60 years old now, at least. There's a nursery down the road for me, Fraser Stimble Farm. So go to fraserstimblefarm.com nursery, and they do ship stuff. They may even ship to the States. They have tons of tree ferns. I always have tons of tree ferns in stock there. What other palms other than Washingtonian trackies can be kicked back to growing with beheading them? Well, it's funny. Yeah, Washingtonia, I see them chop them down in Hawaii all the time. There's some on the beach, and then they regrow, and then they end up chopping them down again. After a couple of chops, they're done. I don't know of a lot of palms that can be chopped back. I think the suckers could be chopped down off of Camerops humilis and regrow, and same with the Rapatophyllum hystrix, although I've never tried it. Trachycarpus fortunae, you see the trunk on this one. So let's just say the top of this one got really damaged in winter, and the center spear pulled out. And what I would do, I would cut it back to solid growth inside that trunk and hope for the best. And a lot of times they resprout. Trachycarpus latisactus, I've never tried it. And in a really bad winter, that one would probably take a kicking. I think they're only hardy to about 22 degrees Fahrenheit. So going to need some help when it gets cold. This one, folks, is in a big pot. Okay, I just put it here just for a nice background. Behind that, there's a 25-foot tall bay tree. I think it's got flowers on it right now. But this one here, we actually do keep outside year round in the pot, but I put it in the tiki hut with no heat. And also the Washingtonias and all the other potted stuff goes in there. Beside me here, I have some sago palms. The sago palms actually stay outside year round in the pots, but I put bubble wrap around the pot so they don't freeze. Brought back a sprouted coconut from Maui, and now the palm is a. Whoa, wow, really? Good for you, David. That is awesome. Okay, I've tried 4 at least coconut palms, Cocos nucifera. I used to go to Waikiki a lot. Every year I'd go to Waikiki, and there was a Woolworth in Waikiki on Kalakaua Avenue. And I'd go in there and buy sprouted coconuts for $5 or $6. And the longest I've ever had one, I think, is 4 years. And it started getting the split fronds and everything, but it just got infested with spider mites. So the last one I bought was last summer, and Wendy said, "Do not buy that, Joe. Don't buy another coconut palm." I bought the coconut palm. I didn't listen to her. Well, guess what? It was doing beautiful outside until I put it in for the winter time. And we have a wood stove. The wood stove makes the air really dry, and it started declining. So I gave it to the indoor swimming pool. Here it's very hot and humid in there, but by that time it was already too far gone. So no more coconuts for this guy. So good on you, David, for growing coconut, because they're very tricky to grow out of their native range in a northern climate, right? If you're going to grow them as a houseplant. Our local nurseries think we're in 10B. I wish we were. Well, they're probably selling a lot of plants that get killed in the wintertime then, and a lot of nurserymen don't know their stuff. That's the thing. And I often go in there and kind of question them, right, to see what they know. And they don't know as much as they should, which is quite scary because they're selling people stuff. And, some of that stuff is going to die in their garden. So I worked at a large nursery here on Salt Spring. We have 3 nurseries here on Salt Spring Island. And I worked at a large one for a decade. And I was the palm and exotic plant guy. And when people would come in and ask me for a plant, I would ask them, where do you live on Salt Spring Island? And they would say to me, why does that matter? And I says, it makes a world difference where you live on Salt Spring Island, because if you live in the Cranberry Valley at Zone 8A, what you see growing in Zone 9A might not grow where you want to plant it in Zone 8A. And some people just don't get it, and they still insist on buying it. So they plant their Mexican orange in Zone 8A, and then it dies. And it's like, yeah, well, I told you, right? I kept my coconut where, brought back from sprouted coconuts, local nurseries. I'm just reading all this stuff here. There's a lot of stuff on here. I kept my coconut alive for a long time in a pot. It's outside for a grow. Oh, good for you, palm tree dude. Yeah. Well, I tell you what, coconuts generally like about 8 hours of sun a day. They like an annual temperature of about 20 degrees Celsius. That's over 70. And they like heat and humidity. Like they love the humidity. So our house is just way too dry in the summer. We heat with wood. It's very warm, but it's extremely dry, the air, and expensive. I bought mine in Home Debit. I call it Home Debit. I'm going to be there tomorrow. I'm heading to the Big Island tomorrow to get some stuff, and I shouldn't be buying any more palms, but I'll probably come back with some more palms. But the Home Depot over on the Big Island, and the Big Island is Vancouver Island. It's Big Island. It takes 7 hours to drive from one end to the other. And Home Depot, they were bringing in needle palms, butia, camarops, washies. They sell musabaju and lots of trackies and lots of other exotic plants, and pretty reasonable. Not a bad price. So if I see something interesting, I might scoop it. So stay tuned for a video. Yeah, the coconut palm I bought at Home Depot was $29.95. And I think it was $29.95 too much as far as I'm concerned, because I should have listened to Wendy. Isn't a Jubea pretty much a really fat coconut? It is actually a mini coconut, I think, because they do produce edible fruit, and it is the hardiest pinnate species, Tennessee palms. Jubea chilensis is definitely a good palm for this area if somebody wants to grow a pinnate species. Much more cold hardy than Butia capitata. In the south, I think Butia capitata is going to work in 7B8A. Up here, not a hope in hell to grow Butia capitata in 7B8A. The only place palm trees grow year-round in Canada without protection is along the Pacific coast, and that's the way it is. You know what I mean? There are people that grow palms in the east, which is great, but they're always going to need protection, okay? They will never climatize and get hardy unless we get an instant climate change, okay? So when I see, say, long term, I want to see a palm tree in the ground that's been in the ground at least 15 years, no protection, and it's thriving. It doesn't have, it defoliates every winter, and it's barely struggling to stay alive, right? So the Pacific coast of Canada is the palmy place in this country, because most of Canada is freeze your hiney off cold in the winter, and that's why I live here. Wish we could share photos here. Yeah, it'd be kind of cool if we could, Alec. It would be really nice. But I mean, if you're on my page, Facebook group, you can share photos on there. People who love palm trees and exotic plants, lots of great photos. I love seeing people's gardens from all over the world. There's some amazing stuff. There's people in cold climates and warm climates and tropical climates showing lots of palmy pics, what they grow. Warmest in Ontario, 7A. That would be Point Pelee and Windsor. And Sable Minor up against a building. Niagara's pretty mild too, I think. And they're hot summers, but the winters are still pretty darn cold. But the duration of the freezes, yeah, they are, Ryan. That's the problem. 7A, it's the duration of the freezes are just way too long. So when we get a freeze, it's a short duration, and that makes a world of difference. So we had a freeze on January 14th or 15th. And we got down to 22.1 degrees Fahrenheit here. But our winter was only 3 days long. We had some snow. You can see videos of it here, and then it was done. That was it. But if you got 2 weeks straight of 22.1 and high temperatures below 32, that's going to cause some damage, man. That's not good for some of the plants. What place has the warmest winters in Canada? It would be here in the Southern Gulf Islands. And I won't say warmest, I'm going to say mildest. And the Pacific Coast, generally the Pacific Coast. The Sunshine Coast is very mild. Go to my YouTube video, Growing Zones in British Columbia, and check out my zone map. And I point out all the Zone 9 areas here along the Pacific Coast of Canada. And quite far north of here, well over 100 miles north of here, there are Zone 9 areas. Go to Savory Island. There's some big palm trees up there. I've even seen some big butias growing up on Savory. Savory Island, boasts the warmest swimming water north of Mexico. The warmest ocean swimming water north of Mexico is on Savory Island, and that's in the summertime, of course. So Google that. Savory Island looks like a tropical island, completely surrounded by white sandy beaches, and the only way there is by boat. And there's no ferries there. You have to have your own boat. Hottest would be in Ontario. Nope, the hottest summer places in Canada would have to be Lytton, British Columbia. They've broken the record many times for heat. You can Google that. That's probably the hot spot in all of Canada is Lytton, British Columbia. And True Desert is interior of British Columbia too. You get to Osoyoos and Oliver and Peachland and all those places. That is actually a true desert with less than 10 inches of rain annually. And there's lots of cactus, rattlesnakes, and sagebrush growing there. The climate in Virginia varies. Mountains, yeah, yep, I bet. Yeah, there's some interesting climatic zones in Virginia. Even northern Virginia is still chilly right now. Southern Ontario is the same as Oregon. Yeah, it is. Ryan, it is true. It is Northern California is the same latitude, but the growing zone is much different, of course. Zone 7A is, like I say, Windsor and Point Pelee. And if you go to Nova Scotia, you can find a Zone 7B, 8A if you go to Sable Island. But the only people living there are Parks people and the people that live out in the little buildings on Sable Island. So, like I said, I think I've always wanted to try some Trachycarpus palms on Sable Island, Nova Scotia. That is the mildest growing zone in the Atlantic provinces. Would have to be Sable Island, and I think maybe even Briar Island's up there too. It might be around 7. I bet something like that. The Palm Guy, also my Pygmy Day Palm. What about Montreal? Palm Guy, that's Zone 5, Montreal. So I have some friends in Montreal, a really good friend, and she grows some amazing bananas there. I mean, bananas are a perennial, and even in Ottawa, I've seen musabash. You just got to protect the heck out of them, and why not? You know what? They're root hardy to -20, so if you give them a good mulch, you can grow musabash there. Palm trees are going to need some help, just like Coconut Mike was growing there. He had a garden full of palm trees, but man, it was a lot of work. It's like, it's like Tom Kelly in St. Louis, Missouri. Okay, so for those of you that don't know about Tom Kelly in St. Louis, Missouri, which is Zone 6B, back in the 1980s, I first read about Tom in a magazine I used to subscribe to, a journal called Hardy Enough, and it was published in Massachusetts, and I think Northampton, Massachusetts. And there was a write-up, and the write-up was, the feature article was Growing Big Palms the St. Louis Way. And I says, wow, this is interesting. So I wrote to Tom Kelly, and he sent me a bunch of photos that he had taken in his garden. That was 1988, 89, something like that. Man, the guy's garden just absolutely was mind-boggling. The color photos, the black and white photos in Hardy Enough Journal didn't do it any justice. He had 45-foot tall Washingtonia robusta. He had Syagris Romanzophia, 25 feet tall palmettos, huge camarops, oleanders the size of elephants, hibiscus that were massive. He used to box everything, scaffold. He used scaffolding, and he put plastic over it and heat. It was just, the guy's garden was absolutely insane. He had Phoenix, Canariensis, he had Pindo palms, he had it all. So unfortunately, the palms got too big for their britches, and poor old Tom was getting just too old to look after this stuff, and it was too expensive to, I guess, to heat these things and maintain them. So he had to let them freeze, which would have brought me to tears, and he had to chainsaw the washies down and the other palms too. So I don't know what's still alive in Tom's garden. If any of you out there in St. Louis, Missouri, look up Tom Kelly. I don't even know if he's still alive. He was an interesting dude, and he had an amazing palm garden, and I give him credit for pushing the limit in St. Louis. Hi, Jane. I saw Jubea chilensis in Washington Park. Yep, there's some nice Jubeas in Seattle, some beautiful ones. I remember one at Walt Rockefeller's garden. I went there in a garden tour in '97, and he had a big Jubea in his garden back then. And I think he planted it in 1990. Whether it's still there or not, I don't know. But I know there are some nice Jubeas growing in Seattle, and there's some actually really nice ones here on the Pacific coast of Canada. Jeff St. Gelais in Victoria has an amazing palm garden. I think he's got 2 big Jubeas in there, planted in the 1990s. There's some here on Salt Spring as well. Oh, wait, never mind. Palm tree dude. Adam Rumble, can you grow a Chilean wampum coquette? Yes, with protection. Yeah. Trachycarpus are much hardier, and you will have to protect it when it gets really cold. Coquitlam, I think, is an 8B, but Jubea chilensis will need some help when it gets really, really ugly. If you get you get a cold blast and you're going to get down into the teens Fahrenheit, I would probably maybe put some Christmas lights around it or something like that. You don't want to lose a Jubea because they're really expensive. I think Cedar Rim's wanting about $1,500 to $1,700 for. They're not massive. I mean, they're good size, but they're not massive palms. That's a lot of coin for a palm tree. On the note of the islands, do you think of Palmy potential? You betcha. You know about the Falkland Islands? I'll tell you about the Falkland Islands, folks. Palms on the Falkland Island. I have a good friend here that's an author. And back in the 1990s, it was about at least 25 years ago, he says, Joe, I'm heading down to the Falkland Islands. And I said to Tom Koppel, and I said, if you see any palm trees down there, take a picture for me, take some photos for me. So guess what? He brought back a photo of some huge cordylines growing on the Falkland Islands, and I still have those photos in my photo album. So if cordylines grow on the Falklands, then palm trees will grow on the Falkland Islands. So there you go, man. Cordylines are way more tender than Trachycarpus fortunei, and I know that for a fact because I've been growing them for years, and they do freeze down at much higher temperatures than Trachycarpus fortunei. So yes, palm trees will grow on the Falkland Islands. I think it's a windy place too. The date palms you have from Hawaii are Phoenix sylvestris, already down to 22. So do you think they are sylvestris, Jane? Are you pretty sure on that? Um, I have quite a few in pots, and yeah, because you know what? I'm thinking Phoenix canariensis, but you're right. I see a lot more sylvestris there. And if I did see a Phoenix canariensis, they're not that common. There's a lot of sylvestris around all over. Eric Tom, the date palms you have, pretty sure. Yeah. Well, thanks, Jane. Yeah. Well, that's okay. I like Phoenix sylvestris. They're pretty nice palms. There's a bunch of them growing down in Waikiki by the post office. There's some huge ones growing over there, and I think I picked up some seed there, and then down by the park by Diamond Head. There's a bunch of them there too. So I picked up seed there and a bunch by the LOI Canal. Yeah, too much sylvestris. You're in Hawaii, aren't you, Jane? Am I correct? Are you in Hawaii? What is the largest trachea size you ship? Palm tree dude. I used to ship bigger ones, but it's just too much work. I don't have the time for that. So I'm just shipping bare root seedling ones. We have a palm nursery here. So if anybody wants 1 gallon size palms and you're on Salt Spring Island, see us. We have them. We have sable minor palms. Those are in 4-inch pots. And but all our Trachycarpus stuff is 1 gallon stuff. And I do sell a lot of palm trees. They actually sell them at the local supermarket here. And the nursery here sells all our palms. All the palms at the nursery here come from me. I grow them from seed. So, yep, that's what I thought. You're over in Oahu, correct, Jane? Yeah, love Oahu. I haven't been there since 2012. I was in Maui. 2013, 2014, I was on Oahu. So the last time I was on Oahu was 2013, and every other time I've been on Maui. And before that was Oahu. It was always Waikiki. I've stayed all over Waikiki, and I absolutely love the place. It's great. I like to feed the fish in the LOI Canal, and of course, I like the palms up at Lion Arboretum. Story about Lion Arboretum. I talked to Ray Baker, the palm expert, years ago at Lion Arboretum, and I said, how come I'm not seeing any Trachycarpus fortunei anywhere on Oahu? And I'm sure they must exist. And he says they tried it 3 times in the Arboretum and they failed. So I don't know. I guess they just don't like the tropical climate there. How long will a medium-sized palm survive being shipped? Oh, 3 weeks, easy. If you got the roots wrapped up, well, medium size. I'm talking seedlings. Sorry, my seedlings have been in the mail, and the guys they've arrived 3 weeks later in snail mail, and they were still in perfect shape. Because I do sell stuff on eBay, but now because of this pandemic going around, I've shut that down for a bit because I'm trying to stay away from the post office, and I'll pick it up again once everything tried. Well, if it does get back to normal. Have you ever seen the sable miner population on the Outer Banks? They look really jungly. I've seen pictures of them. Pretty cool, man. And I've got a lot of seed from all those places, South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, and all down those areas. I grow a lot of sable miner, sable brazoria from all those places in the Southeast. And they do very well here. They're just a lot slower growing up this way. Thanks for the seeds, Joe. Now I'm loaded with a palm tree guy. Good. Have fun. Yeah, you can't go wrong. The more palms, the merrier. It's funny, like the guy phones me today and he wants to get rid of one of his palms because he thinks 3 is too many in a clump. You should see these palms. They're like 15 feet of trunk, bare trunk on. They're absolutely gorgeous. And he wants to dig one out. And the guy's 86. It's like, man, enjoy them. He says, I'm not really into palm trees. It's like, oh God, it drives me nuts. People like that. You need cool winters, yeah, to grow. Yeah, absolutely. So they don't like it up in the Manoa Hills, up on in Oahu. So that's why I've never seen Trachycarpus fortuni ever in Hawaii. And you know what? I'm always keeping my eyes peeled for them on Maui too, and I still haven't seen them up country, but I suspect they would grow up country on Maui. Cool. Thank you so much. I have also have some European fan palms, the green kind in Coquitlam. Yeah. I tell you what, Camarops humilis is less hardy when it comes to a cold blast on our coast. So I have a good friend, a long time friend that lives in Cloverdale, about 25 miles southeast of Vancouver. And she said on the message board it's not a message board, it's our palm group in Facebook. She says her things got killed back this winter, her Camarops humilis. See, so Camarops humilis are fully hardy here. When I lived in Langley, you could bank on them freezing back and just the suckers would return. The only one that I ever had survive long term in Langley, South Langley, I lived in the southwest corner of Langley, zone 8A, 8B, was one I had on the south side of the house in mostly sandy soil, bit of an overhang over top. And I put cardboard box around it and a piece of plexiglass, minus 14.5 degrees Celsius. It survived one winter and it only had superficial frost burn on it. And it actually got featured in Hardy Palm International. So, and the other ones froze to the ground that weren't protected. How do you imagine your island will look in 20 years, considering how much seed you have spread? It's going to be, when I'm long gone dead, there's going to be palm trees coming up everywhere. Hopefully, they'll be brush cutting them on the side of the road. If you walk down the nature trail across the street to the beach, there's freaking palm trees everywhere, man. And they are growing in some of our parks. And I know some people don't like it. Oh, if they're not native, they don't belong here. Well, you know what? You know what I tell them? You're not even native, so you must not belong here. I get that. I get that a lot, and I used to get it a lot more, but I don't anymore because I can argue it. I says, who says palm trees don't belong here? What are you, the plant police? And then I go on to saying, what are you growing in your garden? Do you grow lilacs? Do you grow camellias? Do you grow rhodos? Do you grow lettuce? Do you grow carrots, tomatoes? None of that stuff's native here either. And then they have to really think about it, right? Well, yeah, I guess you do have a point. People are funny when something has fronds on it. They think it belongs in the tropics. It's like the old dude that phones me today, and he doesn't like the palm trees because he doesn't think they belong here. I told him the story behind the palms, but he still wants to get rid of one. He thinks they're too crowded. Love your native line. Yeah, let me say that's what you got to do. If you think, somebody comes up to you and harasses you about your palm tree and say they're not native to there, you tell them, well, are you native? I mean, we were introduced, man, and that's what world travelers did since the beginning of time, is move plants around the world. Most of the plants you see in our public landscapes are introduced plants. They're not native. I mean, I could take you into Centennial Park in town and you show me a native plant in Centennial Park. I don't think you're going to find any. You could point to some and think they're native, but they're not. And I'll tell you a story. This goes back into the mid 1990s. And I'm out in front of the chamber, the tourist information building in town, and I'm planting a Trachycarpus fortuni. I'm planting one of my seedlings there. It was a 1-gallon pot. And there was a Escalonia Newport dwarf there and an Escalonia Newport dwarf there, which are native to Chile. A lady comes up to me and she says, Joe, you can't plant a palm here. They don't belong on our island. They're not native. And I said, and that's native? And that's native? And I pointed to the other plants. I said, where do you think those are from? And that shut her up pretty quick. Well, guess what? The palm tree's still there. Anyway, keep planting palms, man, and don't listen to anybody. If it's different and it looks good and it turns heads, put it in your garden. That's what I say. What about running bamboo? You know what? Running bamboo, if you have really good soil, bamboo will run. If you have crappy, rocky soil like us, you can put the most aggressive bamboo in and it'll stay in one spot. It ain't going to run, man. Let's just see. What else here? I'm just reading all these comments on the side here. 95% of the plants, Jane says, in my city are not native. Exactly, Jane. Jane from Hawaii. Gotta love you. They're not. I mean, I look around when I'm in Hawaii, everything's been introduced. There's some native Hawaiian fan palms. Frangipani, which is plumeria, has been introduced. Most of the hibiscus have been introduced from somewhere else, some Asia or somewhere. You know what I mean? People don't get it. I think even the coconuts were probably even brought over by the Tahitians at the time when they came over to settle in the Hawaiian Islands, right? You know what I mean? So there you go. And, I love native plants. Don't get me wrong. We have an island full of beautiful native plants, but I don't want a 150-foot Douglas fir tree in my garden. I got a forest full of them. I want palm trees in my garden. I want people to come into the garden and say, holy crap, look at that. How do you do this? And how do you grow that? And that's the wow factor, right? If I go a garden full of mugo pines, junipers, and Alberta spruce, nobody gives a rat's, you know what? Anybody can grow that stuff. So plant more palms, folks. I have native hibiscus and cotton. Yeah, the native hibiscus, is that the wood rose? Is that the yellow one with the brown kind of black center in Hawaii? Is that the one I'm thinking? And even sugar cane and pineapples aren't native to Hawaii, folks. And kiwi is not even native. Sort of burst your bubble. Kiwi's not native to New Zealand. And if you ask people about kiwi, you ask them where it's native to, they think it's native to New Zealand. It's actually native to Asia, right? And there's a lot of species of kiwi, but they're all native to Asia and not New Zealand. No, I have the native hibiscus and cotton. No, it's not. So which is the native one? Jane, I was thinking it was called is not the wood, is that wood rose? Is there something called a wood rose? Or am I thinking of something completely different? Coconuts were introduced to Hawaii from the Hawaiian people. Sugarcane is poly introduced. Yeah. And same with pineapples. I think they came from South America, right? Pineapple. And lots of oleander in Hawaii too, and that's introduced. I mean, you look around at the landscape. I mean, there's foxtails growing. I think those are from Australia. There's tons of different types of bamboo. There's the beautiful rainbow gum eucalyptus trees. Those are from I think Indonesia, Philippines, and places like that. Yeah. So it's amazing, right? And a lot of people just don't do their homework. That's the thing. They don't do their homework, and they'll see a plant, and there's the native plant people here. Like we have the society, and they're right into it. And if they see something that's not native growing in the park, like a forested park, they'll chop it down. I go into there sometimes and I'll see some beautiful laurels that have self-seeded, Portuguese laurel, Prunus lusitanica. And then you go back, a year later and the thing's gone. Somebody's cut the thing down. The highways guys cut something down in front of our place yesterday. Beautiful Ulix europaeus. I know people hate the gorse here because it grows like a weed, but we had it pruned out nicely at the end of our driveway. And Wendy said to me, they cut it down. They cut the thing down yesterday and left it there in a pile of mess. And I used the flowers for tea. It smells like coconuts. It's a really neat plant. Will normal banana trees that produce fruit grow in your area? Well, I grow musabaju. I suspect you could probably grow rajapuri. I tried some red banana that Austin sent me, and they really petered out. I don't know if it was the dryness where I put them, the roots infiltrating from a big native Thuya plicata, but there are some like, is it itinerans? I think most itinerans will grow here. I'm not growing it, but there might be some with seeds that will probably grow here, but haven't been tried. Hibiscus, Arnothiensis, Waimea. Okay. Cocoa native to the islands. Cool. Right on. I'll look for those when I'm in Maui. I'll be back in Maui in November if everything's opened up back then. I mean, I'm booked for Maui in November, December, so hopefully everything will be all worked out by then, and this pandemic will be past us. Tennessee palms. It's kind of like the people who don't believe Tennessee has humid subtropical. Exactly. That's right. I know you can Google it. It'll say it right there. It's like us. We're in it's a Mediterranean climate here. Google the climate of Salt Spring Island. It is Mediterranean climate. And we do grow commercial olives here. We grow commercial figs and olives here. And I'm talking the olive farm is big. There's 8 different varieties, and there's well over 3,000 trees there that we do make olive oil here on Salt Spring Island. Dipsis on the island. Yes, not on our island. No, there's no Dipsis on Salt Spring Island, but definitely Dipsis on Hawaii. I just ordered Sycamensis. Cool. I used to know of a nice stand of Sycamensis growing in town, but they had to get removed because the people didn't like them there. Let's just see. I'm just reading here. Palm tree, dude. I can't believe people say stuff like that. Palms look amazing. Oh, of course they do in Coquitlam. Yeah, I think they look great too. But there are people that really raised a stink when they planted all those palms in Tawasin. And I remember write-ups in the articles in the paper. People wanted them removed. Why are you wasting your money on palms? And in Beach Avenue too, there are people that think palm trees do not belong here. You know what I mean? Well, if they don't like them, go back to Alberta. Sorry, Albertans. If you don't want to look at palm trees, then you shouldn't be living on the Pacific coast of Canada because they grow here. And if you don't like it, bye-bye, pack your bags and go somewhere where palms don't grow. That's what I have to say to them. I'm sorry. You know what? There's people that wanted to remove the palm trees from Beach Avenue. You know what? But unfortunately for them, there's more people that actually like the palm trees. And I'm one of them. So they look good. Palm trees are great street trees. They don't lift sidewalks. They don't crack roadways. They're evergreen. They're low maintenance, and they're disease resistant, and they're winter hardy, and they look good year round. So why not plant palm trees, right? If they were, if they think they do not belong there, exactly, Jane. That's what I say. They're narrow-minded and they're tunnel vision. I've given some talks to the garden clubs over the years, and the first thing I said, and they all know I'm the exotic plant guy here, right? And the first thing I say to them, I say, thanks for having me here, and nice to know that each and every one of you is an exotic plant grower. And they kind of look at each other. And some of these guys are old gardeners, have been stuck in their ways. I says, if you go petunias, you grow geraniums, and I list all the common things that people grow that aren't native here. Those are exotic introduced plants, right? They don't have to be palm trees. If it's not native to your area and it's introduced, it's an exotic plant. You know what I mean? I'm introduced to this island, so I guess I'm an exotic person on this island, and you're an exotic person where you live too if you're introduced. I'm definitely not a West Coast native. The only natives here are our West Coast First Nations people. They are native. And maybe at one time they were introduced too. So that's just the way it goes, just like the plants, right? They are trialing tack. Yeah, I know. I know the ones in Nova Scotia. It is boxed in. I got a good friend there, and she sends me pictures of the one that's boxed in there in Nova Scotia. I don't think they, in my opinion, they will not be hardy without winter protection. There is needle palm. I got another friend that lives there too, and he's often posted pictures of the needle palm growing in the gardens there in Nova Scotia and Halifax. I think the needle palm made it without protection, but there was a trachea in there. I think that one might have fried. I think Hawaiian plants are exotic, even though, yeah, exactly. Gotta love the Hawaiian plants. I love Hawaii, and I love everything about Hawaii. And I like the people, and I like the plants, and I like the climate. And if I didn't live here, I would live. What do we got here? Wendy, come on in here. Is it dinner time? It's almost dinner time. I think she's.
Hey, hi.
Oh God.
I'm gonna puppet bomb you.
No, puppet bomb. What are you making for dinner?
Snapper.
This is my side. This is my sidekick. So she's a big part of the garden too. And thank God she likes palm trees. At her last place, she had a lot of palm trees. And when she moved to this place 5 years ago, well, before that, she started moving palms here about 8 years ago. You started moving some of your palms here, right? So when the new people bought her house, they only had 2 palms left. Hopefully they're not watching this live stream. Yeah. But there's 2 big palms. She had a really nice garden. But now she's surrounded by palm trees. All right. Take care. Silly girl. Anyway, yeah, Wendy loves to garden. She's in the garden every day. And she's made the garden much better since she's come here. Yeah, it's her passion, gardening, and it's my passion. It's a good hobby. I say this to people. I don't do drugs. I don't drink. And I don't smoke. I waste all my money on plants. Well, if you could say it's a waste, right? So I guess it's a good addiction. Gardening is a good addiction, and palm tree growing is an addiction. So once you get hooked on palm trees, it's very addicting. It really is, but it's a good thing. Anyway, folks, I'm gonna probably cut this off now. I probably have to go for dinner. I've been chewing the rag here for 57 minutes live streaming, and my battery's not going to go dead because I do have this thing plugged in. And I appreciate all you guys watching on this live stream. And I think I may do this every month. And I'll try to do it from a different part of the garden. And I think I could probably do it from Wendy's iPhone. And I could probably walk around the garden with the iPhone on a stick, like on a selfie stick. And then I could show you different parts of the garden while I do it. I may try that. I'm not a computer expert or anything, but what's that? We'll figure it out. So how is the clarity here right now? Because Wendy says the clarity yesterday was really bad. Are you seeing the picture okay? Is it kind of fuzzy? I just want to know. I did clean off the webcam, and I'm a lot closer to the router. Right on. Do you state the time? Yeah, 5:30 this was scheduled for, and I came right on the button, 5:30 right on the button here. So, and I wasn't planning on talking for an hour, but it is not. It's no, it's quite blurry on my end. Okay. Okay, interesting. Not the best. See, I'm seeing myself on the screen here, and it's perfectly clear. So a little fuzzy. I wonder how I can fix that. I'm fuzzy. So you know what I do? I got this other computer, and it's a newer computer, but
I've tried quality on my computer. I have a Mac.
Mac.
Upping the pixel thing, but you're still kind of...
I could try live streaming on Wendy's because we have a YouTube channel together, Gulf Island Rock, and I could do live stream on her Mac. Wendy's a Mac lady. I'm a crappy Toshiba guy. This is an old Toshiba. I bought this one at least maybe 6 years ago. The one before that got coffee spilled on it, and it don't work anymore. So unfortunately,
but you'll try the iPhone. We'll try doing that.
Yeah, crappy Canadian internet. Yeah, we're on TELUS here. We're on TELUS here. Maybe. Hey, I got a question for you guys. Do routers wear out? Do wireless routers wear out, or do they keep going forever? I'm curious. Is our router getting old and is it wearing out? Blame Rogers. Yeah, we're not on Rogers. Rogers is the worst here.
Oh, it's horrible.
It's horrible here. If you get a Rogers cell phone, you will not get any reception here. So they just die. Routers just die. Oops. Just die. So we should actually talk to. We got to get a new router then. That's the thing. Okay, so I'm gonna have to contact them and get a new router. All right, folks. Hey, it's been a slice. Thanks for tuning in to me, and I hope everybody's staying safe out there. And if you're ever on Salt Spring Island, come and visit our garden. Do you have fiber optic yet? I think there's fiber optic here, Scott. I'm pretty sure there is. Yeah. We don't have traffic lights, but I think we have fiber optic here on Salt Spring Island. Yeah. Anyway, take care, everybody. Stay safe. And tune in next time. I'll schedule this for sometime in May. And or maybe even before. I'll sneak one in on you on Wendy's YouTube channel. Her YouTube channel is Gulf Island Rock. So golf, then island rock. And she's got a lot of videos on there, a lot of garden videos, a lot of exotic garden videos. So maybe I'll live stream from her Mac. And we'll see how that works out. I'm just curious. All right. Take care. Cheers and aloha from Salt Spring Island. And we're going to end this stream because my stomach's growling. I got to go eat something, folks. Cheers to you all. Love you, man. Take care.